Hey there, everyone. This is Trader Tim from eminymine.com. It's Thursday, so we're doing a trade recap. Three trades this week. Kind of uh, almost a deja vu of last week in that the way that the ES was trading this week, there was just not a lot of anything to trade. And so we'll talk about the trades from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And let's just dive right in. So the first thing I want to point out on my daily chart here on the ES, this big body bearish engulfing candle from yesterday, Wednesday. Now that's a super bearish sign when we not only gap up at highs, but then, so not only gapping up and selling off, but selling off at lows at a point that's below the prior couple of days' lows. So a gap up at highs is usually a sign of an exhaustive move. And the last couple of days, like if I go down to a 15-minute chart here, you can see Tuesday and Wednesday, and even a little bit today, we gapped up and then we sold off. Then we gapped up yesterday, sold off hard at the open, and then drifted lower. Today, we gapped up, sold off, and then, interestingly, I guess not too surprising, but you see this V right here, this V reversal, where we dipped below yesterday's low, and then we had buyers come back in. So when we go back to the daily chart, that ends up being a hammer formation. Now that we're in the last hour of the day, some of the markets aren't completely closed, but if you look back here at all these bottoming tails and then the two hammer formations here, the the market is clearly being bought up at every opportunity that it makes the slightest dip. I mean, we're talking like one down day here and then uh, rallying the very next day. And even these pullbacks that we had into this prior retracement, I mean, it was really only 2 days of pullback, and then the market was bought up again. So since we're so close to all-time highs here in the ES, you know, there's it almost feels like nothing is able to stop this market from going higher, even though we've had these two pretty bearish days here, and especially yesterday with this big body candle to the downside. So I'm actually going to flip to a 5 minute. And on Tuesday in the trading room, I attempted the 5 minute gap play since we had gapped up. That didn't turn into anything. I actually got ticked out. We broke higher. I went long, and then we kind of chopped around for 20 minutes before kind of drifting lower. I ended up taking that same play on Wednesday. Same setup. We gapped up, and only Wednesday we had this nice big first candle, and these are 5 minute bars, and so seeing that sort of gusto in the first 5 minutes, I was a little more, excited that maybe we'll get some trending action. We still had, the gap fill from the prior day was at 29.11s. Roughly, we were at 29.16s or 16.75. So I was expecting, or was looking for a move to the gap fill and sort of expecting a bounce. But so same setup, only instead of going long, I went short because we broke down 1650s, and then I just rode that down and just trailed my stop above each candle's high here, and rode it all the way down to actually it was an 850 is where I had my stop. 29.0850s. So nice 8 pointer there on that run down. But then we kind of just crapped out the rest of the morning. We kind of moved sideways. It was almost like a bear flag, and then got to lunch into the lunchtime set hour or so, late morning, and so I just shut it down. And then today, there wasn't a 5 minute play because we were opening up within the first 30 minutes or within the prior day's range. The only time I take those 5 minute gap plays is if we open above or below the prior day's range. Today, though, we opened up and super messy. Just a whole lot of mess in the first 20 minutes. Then we started breaking down and not really making retracements, almost like just a straight line down. Um, I had the high and the low, the first 30 minutes marked here. Not really any actionable setups there. But what we did get was down here at this low, about half hour in, it lined up this 28.9875. It actually lined up with yesterday's just about yesterday's low. So yesterday's low was a 98.50, and then here we were at 98.75s. So I was looking at maybe that was potential for a double bottom. And so coming in here, I looked at this as the prior swing high, and I drew a long up and took a long, but it didn't really get much steam. I was able to bring my stop up underneath this swing low at 2900s and at least reduce my risk on the trade, but it did not really get any follow through, and then we just kind of rolled over and didn't have any other real actionable setups. We didn't have any low ticks that lined up with low price. I was looking at maybe running a short on a continuation of a move down, but then coming in here, it was nice that we broke the opposing long. But then when I drew up the short, you look at this low, it's almost a double bottom. So I didn't feel like that was really good reward to risk, and it only went a couple of points and then reversed yet again. And then coming all the way halfway back on the day, a lot of times what happens, the full halfway back might line up with like the top or bottom of the first 30-minute range. And so this time, today, the full halfway back lined up right with the 30-minute low of the day. But we traded in, broke the 61.8 by a couple of ticks, kind of chopped around for a while. And, these kind of messy moves really don't instill much confidence in, and especially without seeing any follow through from the earlier part of the morning. I mean, look at yesterday on the 30-minute. These tails are just up, down, down, up, big body candle down, take it back. I mean, just an absolute mess. So there's really not a whole lot to do on these weeks. And, as I say a lot, you look at, there's trending days, choppy days, and then just non-trending, like non-actionable days. And that's what, most of these days have been. Sometimes a range-bound day, you can make some really clean moves from highs of the day, right or down to the lows of the day, right it back up to the top of the range. And so there can be a lot of good trades on a range-bound day. But in these kind of situations where the market's just all over the place with no sort of pattern to speak of, you're better off just sitting on the sidelines and being patient. So that's why I only resulted in a couple of trades for the week. And heading into Friday and then next week, we have this little widening formation. I'm still wouldn't be super surprised if we pulled back to like a 28.57, the next retracement, and then that was the one that took us into new highs. But every time we just make a sign of like breaking lows from the prior day, boom, we're immediately the market's bought back up. So Hopefully, it's not a third straight week of blah, but you can't force the market's hand, and you can't make it do anything. You can't make it do what you want. So just have to kind of be patient with what the market gives you, and without setting constraints on yourself. Like, don't go setting, I got to make $200 a day, or I got to make 12 ticks a day, because you end up forcing trades when there's no trade. And you just end up digging yourself a hole on a week like this. And then, so what if you have a great week next week? All they do is cancel out. So instead, continue trading when trading's good on the good days. And then, weeks like this, maybe you have one trade, maybe you have no trades, and you just have to be okay with that, and then move on to the next week. The NQ has looked all right. There were some decent setups in there, but ES has been pretty quiet this week. So with that, hope everyone has a great weekend. I am accepting students for the summer apprenticeship program. If you're interested in that, go ahead and shoot me an email. It's just tim@eminimine.com. Thanks, everyone, and have a great rest of your week.